Hi, Stampers. Welcome to Learning with Friends. I am Pat Fairless from Fairless Stamp and Flair. And as I promised last week, this week I'm going to show you how to make a box. Now, maybe you've made a lot of boxes, but I am not a huge 3D person, so they've always been a bit of a challenge to me, particularly if I'm trying to figure out how big to cut my cardstock, right? So that's kind of what I want to help you with. And we'll give you a few tips along the way. So let's just go ahead and flip the camera to my desktop and get started. Okay, and I should have gotten my little bench here out of the way. So the first thing, this is the box we're going to make, or we're going to make a version of this box. I'm not going to make this exact same box. I'm going to use some different designer series paper and different, we'll call it different focal point. But I wanted to show you this. This box measures 6 inches wide by 4 3/4 deep, or long, I don't know, long, wide, whatever. 6 inches this way, 4 inches this way, 4 3/4 inches this way. And this is about, I think, 2 1/2. And I sized this box specifically so that I could put in at least comfortably 6 cards of our standard size, 5.5 by 4 1/4 size cards. And before we get actually started making the box, I'm going to just do a quick little math lesson. I know most people don't like math. I'm weird. I do like math. But for me, what's always been hard about making boxes is I could make a box if somebody told me what dimensions to use. But if I wanted a different size box, I had a hard time figuring out how big do I cut my cardstock. So let's just draw a box on here. It's not to scale. Sorry, us engineers like things to scale, but I'm not going to draw to scale. And let's just say, for easy math, let's say we want it to be 6 inches long by 4 inches wide. We haven't yet figured out what depth we want, but the way I figure out how big I want this is I went and I laid a card on here and I measured my card, all right? And then I just added about 1/2 inch, because you don't want to force things in. You want a little space. Maybe you need some tissue paper, whatever. If you want it a little bit bigger, lay whatever it is you want to put in your box down on a piece of paper and measure it, and then just figure out, I got to make it a little bit bigger. And you can measure that easily, right? So let's say that measured 6 by 4. Now, how deep do I want my box? Well, if you're going to measure, if you want to put something in it that is tall, then obviously you want your box to be at least tall enough to hold that. So measure however tall the item you want to put in. You could probably put it in like this, whatever, right? So let's say I wanted my box to be 2 inches tall, and we're doing easy numbers for math purposes. Now I know my cardstock then has to at least give me, right, on each side, if I'm going to fold this up, it's got to be at least 2 inches. So all the way around is 2 inches bigger, which means I have to add 6 plus 2 on this side plus 2 on this side to figure out my width. And so in this case, I would cut my cardstock 10 inches. And in this way, I did that wrong. Math is not always easy. I was going in this direction. So this is 2 plus 4 plus 2. So that is 4 plus 2 plus 2 is 8. So in this direction, it's 8. In this direction, I've got 6 plus 2 plus 2, and it's 10. So I'm going to cut my cardstock 10 inches by 8 inches. If I want a box that ends up to be 4 inches wide by 6 inches long by 2 inches high. Okay, makes sense? Now your cover, you can either make your cover exactly the same, but my recommendation is that you take your length and your width and you add about 1/8 of an inch. So now I'm going to start with 6 1/8, and I know you hate eighths, but if you make it much more than 1/8, your cover is going to be really loose. So 6 1/8 by 4 1/8. Now you need to figure out how deep do I want my lid? And whatever you want your lid depth to be, you do the same that you did here. So if you want your lid to go all the way to the bottom of the box, then you would add 2 + 2 or 4. If you just want it to be 1 inch lid, then you could do 6 1/8 plus 2 inches, which is 1 + 1, 1 for each side. Remember, you always need it on both sides. And you would cut your cardstock 8 1/8 by, and you're going to do 4 + 2 to have a 1 inch lid over that, 6. And you're going to cut your cardstock 8 1/8 by 6. Now, what you got to remember here is your lid width on this one is 1 inch, and your lid here is 2 inches. So when I take my 8 by 10 score or my 8 by 10 cardstock, I am going to score it all the way around at 2 inches. Okay. And then with the lid, I would score all the way around at 1 inch. And that's how you figure out where to score and how big your cardstock should be. So for my box here, we have 6 by 8, or what did I say? It's 6 by 4 3/4 measured on the bottom. And so I have a 2 1/2 inch depth. Right? So I'm going to take that piece of cardstock that measures 11 by 9 3/4 because I added 2 inches all the way around, or 4 inches to my ultimate dimensions. And we are going to score this at 2 1/2. We add 3 1/2, or 2 1/2 depth is 2 1/2 plus 2 1/2 is 5. So I got 6 plus 5 is 11. All right. I probably got you totally confused. So now we're just going to score, and I'm going to score this all the way around at 2 1/2. And I have already cut all of my stuff, so we'll save time that way. I hope that math lesson wasn't horribly confusing. Whatever you want your depth to be, just double it, and that's what you need to add to the dimension you want your box. So if it's 2 1/2 deep, then you add 5. And so on. All right, so that is now scored. I'm going to set it aside. My lid for my box is 9 1/8 by 7 7/8, but I made that lid only 1.5 inches, I believe. Didn't write down. It's 1.5 inches. So I am going to score this at 1.5 inches all the way around. And I'm going to try to remember to give you measurements for this as we make this complete box. If I forget, no worries. Today on my FearlessStampin'Flair.com website, I will have, probably in about an hour after this video is finished, I will have this box on there. All this week I am featuring products, cards, various things made with this Reindeer Days suite of products. So this will be on my FearlessStampin'Flair.com blog in about an hour, and it will have all the dimensions for this particular box size. Okay. All right. So now we're just going to take our bone folder like we would for any box. We're gonna fold into the hill, and we'll fold all the way around. I'm wondering if I should put a piece of grid paper down, maybe. My background is dark and my cardstock is dark, so let me grab, once I get this all scored all the way around. Okay, so my lid and my bottom are scored, and I'm gonna just grab this might make it easier to just see since it's darker on white. On the website, the tutorial will show these templates here that show you the dimensions. For the finished size box, it shows you the dimensions 11 by 9 3/4. And for the bottom, box bottom, we're going to score everything at 2.5, and then the top is still there too. So if you're not getting these dimensions, that's fine, no worries. You can go to the website and pull it up. Now on both the bottom and the top, I like to just take my longest side, put it this way, and cut in. I have done this. I have messed this up more times than I care to count, because I'll start going around and then I'll cut this one in this way, and then you end up, you cut something else. So I found if I always put my long side parallel to me and just cut in, then I don't mess up. Now we want to trim a little wedge out of here, and we always want to trim towards the little small scored area. Okay, and we're just going to trim that out. If you forget and score this way, your box will still work. When you go to decorate it, it just will be a little more problematic. I don't know, it's not a problem, you can still do it. It's just things won't line up if this isn't straight. I like to do it on the lid because you like this to be straight so that it lays flat on your corner. So let's do this one. This one is almost square, but it's a little longer in this direction. So we'll do the bottom. And I'm just cutting right along that score line. Hopefully you can see that. Sometimes I know dark colors are hard to see. As you calculate the size of your cardstock that you need, if you calculate a measurement that is larger than 12 inches. Oh, and all right, let me fix my screen here. Here we go again. They are blaming me. I know I don't touch it. And they say it's, my internet goes out, but I've got a full strength internet connection, so I do not know. I've been trading emails with them most of the last week without any resolution. So we'll just deal with it, and I'll keep an eye on what you're seeing in my camera as best I can. So if it flips back, we'll know. So what I was going to say before I was so rudely interrupted is, if once you calculate your measurements, if one of them adds up to more than 12 inches, you're probably going to have to change the size of your box. One dimension, whichever one is over 12, you're going to have to either make it not as deep or a little shorter, because obviously the biggest cardstock, at least Stampin' Up! Has, is 12 by 12. So now to assemble this, we can do this any way we want. I just like to do one side at a time. And for me, liquid adhesive works pretty good. I just put liquid adhesive on each of these little tabs. And I usually do one side at a time, because if I do the other side, I stand a good chance of getting adhesive where I don't want it, like that right there. So now we just fold this up and align the top and the side and kind of pinch it. Same way on this side. So I'm aligning my cut edge here with my fold, and I'm aligning across the top. And that way you get, I kind of like to go inside and press, but that way you get nice crisp corners, okay? And I like to put these on the inside because that way the outside has a nice surface. If you put it this way, you're going to see that. We don't necessarily need to see that. The reason I say line this up is because if you bring it in, your box is going to fold out. If you go in too far, it's going to fold in, and it affects how well your lid fits, unfortunately. So now the second one, if I put glue on here before, it's easier to get the glue on all four, but I know myself and I tend to kind of mess that up when I do it that way. So we all have to do what's best for us, right? If we consistently mess it up using a certain method, don't do it that way again. That's what I found for myself. Okay, this side. All right. And that is the bottom of our box. Now, what I like to do, particularly depending on what I'm going to put in here, if there's any weight to it, I like to put a piece of stiffener on the bottom, like a piece of cardboard. And I tend to just use some cardboard. This is like a lightweight cardboard that comes with, a lot of times our designer series paper has this in, or it has the white kind, which is even a little lighter. And I often will use that also. And then I will just take a piece of designer series paper and add some glue on here just to make it look pretty. It can be the same one we're going to use to decorate the front. It can be a coordinating one. You could just leave it cardboard if you want. It's up to you. Now, the size of this, you will see in my tutorial that I'll scooch it over a little bit. That's a good thing about liquid adhesive is you can move it if you need to. Since we made our box 4 3/4 by 6, you would think you would want to make this 4 3/4 by 6. My recommendation is make it about a 1/16 of an inch smaller. Now I know I'm sure you hate, a lot of people hate 8s, you probably hate 16ths more. Just take a skosh off, just a tiny little strip, and then it'll fit nicely into the bottom of your box. And to really make sure it adds some extra rigidity, just put a little adhesive on here to hold it down. That makes it even a little bit more stable, and whoever gets your gift isn't going to turn it upside down and have it fall out. It's going to look like it was planned in part of the box. So that is, the bottom of our box is completed. So now we're going to go to the top, and I'm using the Season of Green and Gold designer series paper. So the first box I showed you was with the Reindeer Fun Suite, and it is kind of a cute, whimsical box. This one's going to be a little bit more elegant. At least I hope it is. I haven't made it yet, so we will see. I do have everything cut. The box top is 5 7/8 by 4 5/8. So remember, we added an 1/8 to the size of this here when we did our mat. So that makes this an 1/8, but this is just a 1/4 of an inch smaller than what this is. And if you wanted to mat this, you guys all know how to make mats in whatever size you want, right? That part, I'm sure you can figure out. So let's just go ahead and get some adhesive on here. I like to try to get it kind of close to the edge. Don't put too much because it does push out. And I got a little bit of a new green glue thing there. So it does want to tend to come out a little bit faster when it's new. I like them when they're about half full. That's when they work best for me. I don't get too much. Like here, I got a little bit too much. We'll wipe it off. All right. Now the side strips are just, again, 1/4 of an inch shorter and 1/4 of an inch more narrow. So these are 5 7/8 by 1 1/4 because my lid size here was 1 1/2. So they're the same length as this. So we are just going to add these here. I could make this first. In fact, the first time I made this box, and I'll tell you why I made it in a minute. I put them all together, and then I decided how I was going to decorate them. Well, I quickly learned that was not the brightest move, because now the box is like this, right? It's all made in 3D, and now I got to put these on the side and bend this and all that. So just decorate it while it's flat. It works much better. I didn't do that. Sometimes we learn things the hard way, but you know, when we learn the hard way, they suck in our brains a little bit better, I think. But we also want to learn from others. So if you forget and you don't decorate it, no worries. You can still decorate it. And my end pieces here are 4 5/8, the same width that this was by 1 1/4. So the reason I figured out how to make this box was if you're a card maker like I am, at some point you just start to get overtaken by all of the cards you've made. And even though you feel like you are sending cards to people for all those great birthdays and Christmas and all the, you know, the get well cards and the thank you cards, they still accumulate. And I have a group of friends that loves my cards and is always so excited when they're a group of euchre gals, and if any of them are watching, hi guys, they like to get the cards, and so I thought I was going to have them over. I'm like, you know, I know how I can get rid of some of these cards. I'm going to have a clean your house party. And I told them they were going to come and help me clean my house. Now, if you've been watching me for the last year, you know I've had a lot of construction going on, and I have a feeling they thought they were going to mop floors and wash walls and do all that fun stuff. But I made several of these boxes, decorated them all differently, and played a little game where they drew a number, and then we started with the lowest number, and they got to pick a box first because every one of them was different. And once they got their box, then I told them, right now you can go in the other room, and my stash of cards is over there, organized in various plastic bins, and you can fill your box, whatever you can get your box in your box. And I had calculated it that I knew it would hold at least 6, but obviously it makes a difference depending on the card and how much embellishments are on it, and how many dimensionals I use. But they had the best time going through my cards and picking out whatever they wanted. And I remember one of the gals, she had a pile next to her. There was probably at least 20 cards in her pile, and I knew they weren't all going to fit in the box, but I didn't care. If she could get them in the box, she could have whatever she wanted. I was just trying to clean house. And one of the other gals looked at her and says, what are you doing? You can't get all those in the box. No, but I need more time to sort and pick ones all out. So it was fun. We had a good time, and they all went home with a box of cards, and I think I got down from 5 tubs of cards to 3 tubs of cards. I need another party to get rid of some more. So there is our box. Now, it's time to decorate it. Now, how do you want to hold this together? You could do many things. You could just tie some ribbon around it, make a pretty bow with your ribbon. I decided to make a belly band, as you saw in the first one. So I want to show you how I make my belly band. I take 2 1-inch strips of cardstock. These are not exactly the same because I use them when I'm cutting my cardstock for my box. And I just overlapped one end a little bit, maybe about 1 inch. Oh, a lot of glue on there. That really gooshed out. So maybe I'm going to overlap it a little bit more. And then I just kind of line this up with my grid paper so I get it straight, as straight as I can. And give it a good press. Let it just get stuck for a minute. And I put that fold on the bottom of the box. And I am going to get out my hand sanitizer here and see if I can get, I have glue all over my fingers. It drives me nuts. I really like how liquid glue works, but I don't like it on my fingers. All right, so now I just take this and I bend it up. And so I'm going to bend both sides at the bottom. And I'm going to kind of pinch it a little bit to make a crease. And then I'll come over the top and do the same. Now this one is obviously way too long. You can make this go this way. You could make your belly band go this way. Think about how you want to decorate it once you're done. And that way you could score these, but there's no need. You want it to fit a little loose. Like, don't bring it up and really snug it up, because then you're gonna have a really hard time getting it on and off. So once you get it here and you got them just kind of creased a little bit, then just back it off a hair. That's a measurement, a hair, so that you know when you go to slide it, it's going to come on and off easily. And then go ahead and just add a little adhesive glue. Don't get it on here. I've done that too. We've all done some really crazy things, right? And just kind of hold it to make sure it's straight. Got a little bit of time to go ahead, and you're going to cover this up anyway, so don't matter if it's super pretty. But that slides pretty good. So that's the belly band, and then we decorate it. And again, you can decorate this however you want. You could just make a Christmas box and put a Christmas red bow on there and call it good. Or you could just tie it with ribbon, whatever you want to do. But I decided I'm going to put a tag on mine. And so I have, because the Seasons of Green and Gold paper is so pretty. There is a vellum pack, so I have a couple of these images that are from the vellum pack. I forget, the vellum pack is called, I have it here, Graceful Greenery Vellum. And it has a lot of images in it. This is from this sheet. One of the sheets has these little pine boughs. There's another sheet that's just kind of like white speckles on the vellum. And the dies from the golden greenery dies, which has this in it. There's a stamp set that coordinates. We're not using that. But some of these dies, these 3 in particular, they will line up with both the Seasons of Green and Gold designer paper and these images on the vellum. So we are just gonna make a tag on here that I will then lay on here. Think that'll work? I don't know. Let's hope so. This is cut from Textured Metallic. This is a new online exclusive item that will be available on November 5th, I think, for everybody. If you're a demonstrator, you can get it right now. If you're not a demonstrator, I would love to have you join my team, and this is probably one of the very best months to join because there is a special for October. If you have a wish list that's $100, you want to just sign up because you can get $155 worth of product for $99. And the $99 includes your shipping, so there's no shipping. Doesn't get much better than $155 worth of stuff for $99. You do have to pay tax. No way getting around that. Okay, so I'm just adding a little piece of very vanilla cardstock on there. And again, the dimensions for this, this is not the tutorial I'm putting on the website. I will put a link, I'll put a link to the Season of Green and Gold in the down below the video, so you can get this one too, so you'll know all the dimensions. But this textured metallic paper is one of the new online exclusives. It's really pretty. It's very fine texture. Okay, so now let's just try to build our little thing on here. All right. I am going to use some liquid adhesive very carefully. Normally I would put this on with a sponge when I do those, but of course I don't have my sponge with me, do I? I don't think so. No. So we'll just make sure we put it where it's not going to show. All right, and we'll just put a little there. I want it to be kind of loose anyway. So let's go ahead and lay this right about there. And move this over a little bit. I do notice that I have a hard time keeping myself in frame. I tend to want to pull it down here to work on it and make it easier for myself, and then it makes it difficult for you guys to see it. I'm not in the middle. And this one, let's go ahead and put this one in the middle. Okay. Oh, didn't stick. I didn't, because I got glue on this finger still. Pulled it right off. All right. Let's get that on. Okay. Dry. And these little bells are also cut out of the Season of Green and Gold designer paper. Aren't they pretty? They're gold. So I thought I'll stick those on here. I think I'm going to pop those up with the dimensional. Yeah, maybe I'll put a couple on here. That's three's a bit of an overkill. It's not that big of a bowl, but a bell. But it'll be fine. All right, so let's lay that on there. And then I did make a sentiment. This sentiment is from Peaceful Season. Where can I tuck this? I want to tuck him in here somewhere. Maybe I should lay it on here and see where it looks best. I don't want it hanging off my box, I don't think. But that's where I shouldn't have put all those dimensionals on there, right? I might have to lift up the dimensionals. So I could stick it in a little further. Oh dear, I'm overthinking this. Maybe I put it at an angle. What do you think? You're probably thinking, just stick it down. I know, I'm thinking just stick it down too. All right. We're gonna, at this point, I am going to get a glue dot. Here's my glue dots. I'm not used to making whole things for you guys. I'm usually just used to teaching you a technique, and rarely do I make something for the first time on here. So here, I use this ribbon here. I think I want him up a little higher. Maybe I now stick this up here. Try to keep it. Maybe I put this under the bow. Let's do that. That'll work. Okay, dimensionals on the back of that, so it passes over this stuff. All right, who sees my dimensionals? I just have them. Oh, am I the only one that does that? It's like, I just have something, and then usually it's my scissors. A hard time keeping track of my scissors. And I should have used many dimensions probably on here, but it's all right. We can come in and snip off what's peeking out that shouldn't be peeking out, right? And I'm pulling it to me, so you probably can't even see what I'm doing. All right. Okay, there we go. Now, what I do is I lay this next to it and I figure out where it's going to cover this. And I for sure want to make sure it covers here. But then I just lay my dimensionals on the belly band. And stick it down. There we go. It is done. What do you think? Does that work? I like it. Turned out good. It definitely looks a little more elegant than this one, I think. But they're both cute. Oh, I see my camera's flipped back too. No wonder you can't see. Oh. Okay, I apologize. I don't know how long that was that way. But so there's 2 boxes, and I had a couple left from the Friends thing. Here's these are not Christmas ones. Clips of Coral. Use the little bee. I forget the name of that stand set. But there was one of the boxes that they had to choose from, and here's another one. This one is the Spotlight on Nature. Exactly the name I think it's called. And this is that brushed metallic designer paper. So there we go. There are the boxes, the one we made today, and I will have a link. I'm going to go back here. Hi. Sorry about the trouble with the videoing. I wish they'd get that fixed. It's becoming very annoying. But I hope you like those. I hope you try to make a box. And if you have questions or something doesn't make sense, particularly with the mat, just let me know. And I will do my best to answer in the comments so that everybody gets to learn from everybody else's questions. That's what we're all about here at Learning with Friends, is learning. So thank you for joining. I hope you enjoyed it. And I will be back next week with a fun fold. It is already the last Thursday of the month when I do a fun fold. And goodness, where is this month gone? I don't know. But I'd love to have you subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up. It's always encouraging, and I love your comments. So have a great day. And if you think about that great deal on getting $155 for $99, you can go to my Fearless Pants Stamp and Flair.com website, and there's a connection there to just join. If you'd like to get my newsletter, leave me in there. You can also sign up for my newsletter on my website. So thanks, friends. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. God bless.